Hey everybody, Anthony here with a review of Gioacchino Rossini's Torvaldo e Dorliska, which I saw at the Teatro Rossini. The conductor was Francesco Lanzilotta, the production was done by Mario Martone, the sets were done by Sergio Tarmonti, the costumes were done by Ursula Patzak, and the lights were handled by Cesare Accetta. This is yet another one of Rossini's rare operas which I saw, as it basically garnered a cult following all throughout Italy and maybe some parts of Europe, yet was not really internationally well known, though it did garner some singers who specialized in the titular roles of Dorliska and Torvaldo, and those were being Lele Cuberli and Pietro Bottazzo, and even Darina Takova and Francesco Meli. What's also noticeable about this opera is that it is a drama giocosa, as in there are a lot of elements of comedy even though it's mainly a drama. And the main source of comedy to be found in this particular opera is in the form of Georgell, the retainer of the Duke, though serving him has also been helping Torvaldo trying to rescue his wife Dorliska to escape the clutches of the Duke. The basic plot to Torvaldo e Dorliska goes like this. Dorliska has been abducted by the Duke of Ordo, who wants to make her his wife after leaving Torvaldo for dead. A man comes to the palace and he is revealed to be Torvaldo, yet he is in disguise as Stefano, a young man who wants to work for the Duke as his carpenter. Giorgio and Carlotta let him in, and as soon as Torvaldo reveals his identity to at first Dorliska and then the Duke starts to become very enraged and locks Torvaldo up in a dungeon. Then it's up to Giorgio, Carlotta, and the servants to also rescue Torvaldo from his plight, and as soon as the people rise up against the Duke, he is ultimately defeated and Torvaldo and Dorliska are happily reunited. So as one can tell, this is basically a rescue opera in which the hero has to rescue the damsel in distress from the clutches of the villain, and they end up happily ever after. With that out of the way, let's get on to what I thought about the production. Overall, I found it to be very gorgeous. I love the use of trees and vines, and it just looked really gorgeous, really lovely to look at, and the scenery was, simply put, enticing. And I really love the gates that they've used and all that fine scenery for that particular production. And the costumes looked really elegant on all of the singers, and the best costume, at least to me, was none other than the Duke of Ordo's, which he's wearing all black, and it makes him look powerful and strong, and he seems to dominate the stage with that particular costume. So I'm not gonna mince words here. The costumes and the sets were really great to look at, and they just had that sense of watching a really interesting legend coming to life. And I have to really give a lot of kudos to the people behind the sets and costumes for a job outstandingly done. And now we get to the singers, starting off with our main hero, Torvaldo, who is sung by Dimitri Korchak. What you need in Torvaldo is not only a high singing tenor, but also a tenor who can manage to be dashing on stage and have great acting chops and have a little bit of meat in his voice. Lots of tenors who have sung Torvaldo have also gone on to sing the likes of Edgardo from Lucia de Lammermoor, Percy from Anna Bolena, Lester from Maria Stuarda, Roberto Devereux from, of course, Roberto Devereux, and maybe to some extent Pollione from Norma, Ernani from Ernani, Carlo Moore from I Masnadieri, Carlo from Giovanna d'Arco, Alfredo from La Traviata, Arrigo from I Vespri Siciliani, and of course La Battaglia di Regnano, and even Jacopo Foscari from I Due Foscari. You need the high singing of a Percy from Anna Bolena combined with the style and sleekness of an Edgardo from Lucia de Lammermoor, and of course the heroic tone of a Pollione and Eleazar, and to some extent Herodes from Salome, and even the more lyrical lines of Leucippus from Daphne. And I thought that Dimitri Korczak did a superb job in embodying Torvaldo. He was able to act so dashingly, and he really looked the part. He was youthful and passionate, and it's also reflected in his voice. His style, his manner, his ease, especially in the high notes, and especially that grace which he emits, are really great qualities for Mr. Korczak. He did an amazing job as Torvaldo, and his musical prowess was of the highest order. He was in absolutely great form all throughout, all thanks to his great diction, superb vocal capabilities, and of course, that overall charm which he gives to Torvaldo. He was practically a hero in every way. Then we go to the main heroine, Dorliska, who was sung by Salome Yitzia. What you need in Dorliska is a true dramatic coloratura soprano with a few hints of lyric coloratura soprano and maybe even lyric soprano. She needs that dramatic coloratura meatiness of an Anna Bolena, Maria Stuarda, Elisabetta from Roberto de Vereux, Norma, Imogene from Il Pirata, Semiramide, Mathilde from Guillaume Tell, Marguerite de Valois from Les Huguenots, Isabelle from Robert le Diable, Richard Strauss's Daphne, and many other roles for a dramatic coloratura soprano, and maybe at times the high singing of the Queen of the Night, Constance, Donna Anna, Elettra, and the more lyrical lines of Acefare, Luciochina, Mimi from La Bohème, Antonia from Le Comte of Man, Marguerite from Faust, and a lot of these other great roles for either a dramatic coloratura soprano or even to some extent a full lyric soprano. And I thought that Salome Yitzia did a fine job as Dorliska. Unfortunately, we have at our disposal all the great bel canto divas of the past, the likes of Joan Sutherland, Leila Gencher, Beverly Sills, Christina Durtecom, Rita Shane, Ursula Kossuth, and even Edita Gruberova and Mariela de Villa in their primes. So in terms of how Salome Yitzia sounded tonight, I thought she was able to do a very fine job with giving a lot of emotion to Dorliska. And even though there were some notes which sounded a bit harsh to my ears, I still have to give a lot of credit to Miss Yitzia for really getting herself into the role. She was able to embody Dorliska's pain, and she was able to embody her longing to be free and her yearning for Torvaldo to return to her arms, and she just made Dorliska a pretty interesting character. Only time will tell where her voice will show much more improvement, but as it is, I thought that she has a lot of potential to really improve her voice in the coming years, as it has a lot of potential. It has that really plush color of a full lyric soprano, and she does sing some high notes rather well, and she manages to attack them with a certain amount of fierceness. But even though there are times that her singing is not completely refined, I'm sure that in the coming years she will definitely get better and better. I really hope her career will progress much further, and I just hope the best for her, because this is a singer with a good amount of potential, and I'm sure she will make it big in the next few years. Nicola Alaimo was the absolute standout as the Duke of Ordo, and what you need in this villainous role is a true dramatic baritone, that type of voice that one would expect from the likes of Cornell McNeil, Gian Giacomo Guelfi, Silvano Carolli, Tito Gobbi, Anselmo Colzani, Apollo Granforte, Carlotta Liabue, and many other superb dramatic to Helden baritones of the past. One would need the vocal heft and strength of a Nabucco, an Alberich, a Telramund, and also that of Klingsor's Bite and Venom, but also the superb musicianship of a Jamon from La Traviata, and even that of a Monforte from I Vespri Siciliani. When one combines the dramatic and villainous qualities of this role and manages to balance that out with great musicianship and even great acting, then this role is definitely a great shoo-in. And there have also been some bass baritones who also sang this role, especially the likes of Michele Pertusi. And I thought that Nicola Alaimo was always going to be a major pro. His stage presence was strong, handsome, and it was so involving to witness. He was able to bring in a lot of venom to the Duke without making him too over the top and how nasty he can be, yet also bring in that crippling mindset as if the Duke has been so drunk with power that even though he abuses it, he knows darn well that he's going to have it coming. And I really love those details in which Signore Alaimo was able to place in his acting as the Duke. He was not only a great singer with his round, rich, and grand, dramatic baritone voice, which can reach all those notes wonderfully with a homogeneous quality and lots of breath and a great technique, but he was also an involving actor. The way he was able to move around the stage as the Duke leaves one shaking in his boots. And that's how I felt. I felt so excited to witness this wonderful baritone strut his stuff as the Duke, as I was practically having my jaw drop to the floor. And we have Georgell, who was sung by Carlo Lepore. Even though this role is a buffo role, one must not underestimate this role in its entirety. One would need the absolute strength in the lower register of a Sparafucile, Filippo II, Silva from Ernani, Massimiliano from I Masnadieri, Ramphis and the King of Egypt from Aida, Colline from La Bohème, Angelotti from Tosca, and even combine that with the more hilarious aspects of Bartolo from both Barber of Seville and Le Nozze di Figaro, and even Basilio from, of course, Il Barbiere di Siviglia. One must combine the dramatic and comic capabilities of this particular character if he is to succeed in really embodying the role of Giorgio. And Carlo Lepore did a very fine job in this particular role. He has a fine quality to his bass baritone voice, which can reach the depths of a basso cantante. Sure, his voice is a bit on the aged side, but his acting and his vocal qualities and the way he was able to bring this character to life were, simply put, magnificent. He was so involving as Giorgio that I had a lot of fun with everything that Signore Lepore had to offer. He was a magnificent singing actor, helped with that round and rich bass baritone voice, which managed to really put me in a great mood from beginning to end. Singing his sister, Carlotta, was the young Italian mezzo Raffaella Lupinacci. And what you need in Carlotta is a fine character mezzo, or even that of a lyric dramatic mezzo. Mezzos who've specialized in this role have also done the likes of Isabella from L'Italiana in Algeri, Elisabetta from Maria Stuarda, Angelina from Cenerentola, and a lot of other great roles for either a coloratura contralto or even that of a coloratura mezzo. And Raffaella Lupinacci was absolutely superb in this role. She is a lovely figure on stage with her svelte and sexy figure and that equally sexy and gorgeous voice which she managed to produce. She had superb diction. She was able to make Carlotta quite lively and lovely as a character, and I can definitely tell that she had a lot of fun in this particular role. She was a very fine singer from beginning to end, and she certainly embodied the role of Carlotta with a lot of spunk and a lot of beauty and so many strong moments which she was able to create from beginning to end. Filippo Fontana was solid as Ormondo, and what you need in this role, even though it's quite small, is a superb dramatic baritone to also counteract with the Duke's more dramatic, rougher sound. You also need someone who is a bit on the lyrical side but is nonetheless dramatic. One would need the voice of Rigoletto, Francesco Moore, Carlo from Hernani, and even that of La Forza del Destino, Marcello from La Bohème, Sharpless from Madama Butterfly, Michele from Il Tavaro, Ping from Turandot, Posa from Don Carlo, Le Comte de Neve from Les Huguenots, and many other great roles for either a true dramatic baritone or even that of a cavalier baritone. And I thought that Filippo Fontana did his role well, and I really loved his rendition of that aria in which he was able to climb up the tree while singing, and he was able to do that trust fall with the chorus members. I thought he was so fun as a singing actor. So overall, the singing from everyone was really good all throughout. Everyone contributed handsomely, and I can definitely tell that they worked exceptionally as a team. And the conducting done by Francesco Lanzilotta was really wonderful. He was able to tease out certain moments with the orchestra, and he made sure that they played elegantly with the right tunes, with everything that he had to offer as the conductor. He was just really great at his job, and the chorus and orchestra were absolutely fabulous from beginning to end. So overall, with an absolutely outstanding production and really fine singing, especially from the likes of Nicola Alaimo's villainous Count of Ordo, and even great conducting done by Francesco Lanzilotta, this was definitely another fine evening of watching a Rossini opera. And for those of you who saw Rossini's Torvaldo e Dorliska at the Teatro Rossini, what did you think of it? Did you really feel like the main couple of Salome Yitzya's Dorliska and Dmitri Korchak's Torvaldo stood out really well? Did you feel like Nicola Alaimo as the Duke of Ordo stole the show? And did you feel like he stood out as the strongest performer? Or did you feel like there was another performer who stood out so well in front of your eyes? Or did you feel like there was something that just didn't really hold up so well? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my review of Rossini's La Siège de Corinthe. So until then, good night everybody.